What is up, everyone? Yesterday, the Invincible animated series premiered, and I am a big fan of that series. So, today we're going to talk about it. Let's get to it. So, for those of you not familiar with the Invincible comic book, it's by Robert Kirkman, the creator of The Walking Dead, which you maybe have heard of, because it's gigantic right now. This is his take on superheroes, and it's just as good as The Walking Dead. If you're a fan of his work and his other comics, specifically The Walking Dead, like I said, that's his biggest well-known property, then you're gonna love this. It's a great take on superheroes, deconstructing them in several ways, and just make it very, very interesting. So, Invincible follows Mark Grayson, who is the son of Omni-Man, the greatest superhero in the world. Think Superman. So, in the show, he starts off without powers, and he's just kind of like hoping they come in so he can be just like his dad, because he really worships his dad. He loves him, he respects him, he wants to be just like him. So, as the series goes on, in the first episode, Mark gets his powers, and we follow his adventures becoming a superhero and dealing with the reality of what it means to actually be a superhero. So I want to talk spoilers, but I'm going to talk spoilers later, just for a warning. But I'm just going to talk in general terms about the show. So first of all, I absolutely love it. It's a great show. I love the comic, and as a fan of the comic, this series does a great job of capturing what I loved about the comic and expanding on it in several ways. For the most part, it follows the story of the comic. It tweaks things here and there, drops certain things, but in the long run, it streamlines it, and I think it really, really works. Like, there's a lot of times where I was just like, oh, I remember this from the comic, it was freaking amazing, and the same thing. And there was other times when they did stuff where I'm just like, oh, that's hilarious, they expanded on this. So they have a great balance between the story from the comic and just making the story their own as well. The animation is fantastic. The CGI was a little off-putting when I watched the trailer at first, but as I watched the show longer, it got better and better. I think there was only one scene where it kind of bugged me, like they were in the cafeteria and you can kind of see the people behind them, and they kind of they were CG and they kind of looked awkward. But it wasn't too bad, and I don't know if they did that later again, and maybe I just didn't notice, but I noticed it that one time. The voice acting cast is amazing. Like, if you don't know, like, almost everyone in this cast, everyone in the cast is amazing. Steven Yeun, J.K. Simmons, Zazie Beetz, Mark Hamill, the list goes on. It's just an amazing, amazing cast, and they do a fantastic job of voicing these characters. Like I said, overall, the story, the animation, the voice acting, it all comes together to make this great animated, mature superhero story. Like, we don't have a lot of shows like this right now. I think Netflix has a few, action-oriented animated shows that are bloody and crazy action. Castlevania, Dota, I think, that just came out. But there's not a lot. I know Marvel doesn't really have anything like this. DC has some animated movies, but overall, they don't really have a show. Well, I guess Harley Quinn, now that I think of it. But it's not super action. It's mostly comedy with some action thrown in. But this is, pure action craziness. A lot of fun. So, overall, I give this a 9 out of 10. Should be giving it a 10 out of 10. It's fantastic. If you love superheroes, if you love Robert Kirkman's work, go check it out. It's freaking fantastic. That's all I can really say about it. I loved it. I watched it yesterday when it premiered, and I'm going to rewatch it today because it was that good. Okay, so I'm going to go into spoilers now a little bit. So if you haven't seen the show or if you haven't read the comic, things are going to get spoiled. So 1, 2, 3, spoilers. You don't want to get spoiled? Get out of here. So, okay, spoilers. So, like I said, the show follows the comic, and if you read the comic around issue 12, well, I guess earlier than that, issue 7 and 8, we have this big superhero team called the Guardians of the Globe. They are like the Justice League of this universe. Like really dead on. They have the speedster, like the Flash, the Aquaman type character, the Wonder Woman type character, War Woman. So they're this badass team. In the beginning of the show, they show them off and show how fantastic they are, which is something we really didn't see in the comics. They talked about them, but we didn't get a lot of like, oh man, this team is amazing or whatever. So I really appreciate that. Like I said, it was expanding on the comic book for something we never really saw. So if you know what happens in the comic, they die. Omni-Man comes and he just kills them and wrecks them all. So he shows up in the show at the end of the first episode and just kills them all. And it's this amazing bloody fight, and it's freaking fantastic. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, it was pretty cool in the comic, but it was kind of quick. You just kind of, like, you barely even see Omni-Man. He just kind of flies around super fast killing these characters, and then he just kind of shows up at the end covered in blood. But this was amazing to see him just, murder them, which is kind of sad to say, but it was an awesome fight, and it was really cool to see. I think that was one of my favorite parts of the first 3 episodes. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when it was going to come, but it was great to see, and they did a fantastic job at that. And it was just crazy. It really lived up to that moment. You're just like, shit. Because if you know what's to come, like, Nolan comes to Earth saying that he's like this, he's like, oh, I was sent here to protect the Earth from the Viltrumites. They're this race of good people who just go around helping people. But the truth is, they send people around to go conquer their planets, and their population is low right now, so they also send them out to, breed and find out if there's a viable planet where they can replenish their people. So when Mark gets his powers, Omni-Man gets upset because that means now he has to conquer this planet, and they're pretty much going to turn it into like a breeding stock area or whatever. And he's been there a long time. He loves his wife Debbie. He loves his son, so he's kind of not happy about it, which kind of does suck. It's just like, oh man, this has been my duty, but I never thought it was going to happen because Mark was never going to get his powers, and I kind of hoped he didn't get his powers because I kind of learned to love this place. So he's a little reluctant to do a lot of this stuff. You can see it eating at him. Like, you can't really notice too much in the comic, but it really eats away at him. Like, he's angrier and upset, and it's just like he's not necessarily happy of doing his duty, but he knows he has to do his duty, and I just loved it. It was fantastic. J.K. Simmons kills it as Omni-Man. So, like I said, that was the first episode. Mark gets his powers. The Guardians of the Globes die. The second episode, he meets the team, Adam Eve. Great episode. Third episode, oh shoot, what was the third episode? Doc Seismic. He spends more time with Eve and Amber and everything. This comic series is very much a personal one. Characters talk. We get character motivation, character growth, and everything like that. So the third episode, we get a lot more time with these characters out of suit. There is a great action scene, like I said, where they fight Doc Seismic, Invincible, and Adam Eve. So, like, after the first episode, like, the government is trying to investigate who killed the Guardians of the Globe, and it looks like they have an idea who it is. Of course it's Omni-Man, we know that, but they don't. But it's a suspicion because he was there, and they found his body. He was the only one alive out of that group after the fight because he was so beat up. So, it's very interesting. In the third episode, they also build the new Guardians of the Globe. We get introduced to Monster Girl and Shrinking Ray. So overall, great episodes. I feel like the next one is going to be like the big fight. Like I said, if you've seen the comic, you know what's going to happen. Omni-Man is going to fight Mark, Invincible, and I really think it's the next episode, which would be crazy, and I just would be fantastic. Overall, like I said, if you love this comic, if you love Robert Kirkman's work, if you love comic books, if you love animation, this really is something you should be watching. It's on Amazon Prime right now. If you have the Prime subscription, it's free to watch. It's fantastic. The first 3 episodes are out. Great show. That's all I really have to say about it. Like I said, I love the story. I love what they did. I love how they built it up, fleshed things out. Animation just fantastic. So a little bit of issues, I guess, with the CG, but it wasn't as noticeable. I love seeing these characters come to life. Eve, Invincible, the Flaxons, Rexplode. Oh my gosh, Jason Mantzoukas as Rexplode is fantastic. They chose the perfect person for that role. Okay, so like I said, great show. Go check it out. It's on Amazon. I'm going to do reviews of all the episodes as they come out. So next week, expect my next episode. And, thank you for watching and have a good one. Later.